Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Untitled Chapter TV. We are back on the airways for tonight's show, The Lock-In, where we're basically going to be talking about almost everything in the world of football. Arsenal, we're going to be obviously kind of summarizing the Wolves game, which are obviously a very famous 2-1 victory not so long ago. We'll be looking ahead to the Watford game at the weekend, taking place on Sunday, which is another kind of crucial game. I think every game between now and the end of the season feels like somewhat of a cup final. And we'll be touching upon some transfers and also some other kind of football stories, in and around the world. Because, as we're all aware on Twitter, the world right now is a bit of a crazy place. And it's no different in the world of football. But obviously, I'm G Talks. I'm your host for tonight's show. Stephen is not with us tonight. He will be back ASAP, but he's got the night off. Lottie hopefully will be joining us shortly. She's just catching up with the end of the women's game. But who I am joined with tonight, I've got pleasure of some fantastic company. Two gentlemen that you have seen already before on our streams in the past. My man who's right next to me here, Lee. How you doing, Lee? Talk to me.
Really good, mate. How are you? You doing good?
I'm good, I'm good. Can't complain. You know what I mean? Sometimes I come on here and I say I'm tired and I'm this and I'm that, but you know what? I'm vibes in, man. I'm all right today. I'm all right.
We'll leave that at the door. We're buzzing to go.
That's it. We're in the Cannon Chat arms, so get yourself a drink and let's chat football. Do you know what I mean?
On it.
Wicked. And obviously another gentleman that made his debut with us a couple of weeks ago is back because obviously we're so good at getting back. Mr. Bobby, how you doing, Bobby?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. Good to go, man. Ready to talk Arsenal. It's our passion, isn't it? You know what I mean? Considering we've been missing the games, it's going to be good to catch up on some bits in that. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Wicked. Well, you know what? Without further ado, I'm going to run the intro video and then we're going to get right into it.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
Yes. Good evening once again and welcome back to Untitled Chapter TV. I'm G Talks, your host for tonight's show. We've done our introduction, so we're literally going to get right into the show because we do have a lot to cover, but we only have a limited amount of time tonight. So we're going to get stuck into it straight away. And what better place to start? We're going to start, obviously, I don't even know how long it was ago now because it seems like an eternity because we play so few games these days. But obviously, there was a somewhat of a I don't know, some might say a memorable victory. Obviously, when Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1. Now, obviously, it's been a while. So I want you guys to kind of, rack your brains, remember, obviously, the performance and the result. And I'm going to bring up this image right here because I kind of just put this here just to kind of give you an idea, remind you of the talking points of what you might have taken from obviously the game. And I'm going to come to you first, Bobby, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to kind of summarize this performance and how key this result was for Arsenal.
I mean, first of all, it started off a very, very frustrating performance. I thought that we played well in bits, but it was just up front, wasn't it? It just wasn't clicking. I was really impressed with Martin Odegaard. It seems like he's finally come to the party. I was really impressed with Xhaka and Partey as well. I thought they busted midfield, but I thought that something was just missing up front. In the group chat that I'm in, the Arsenal group chat, Lacazette was getting a lot of stick, and probably rightly so because he was missing a few chances. But I think the second half we just showed our character, didn't we? And that's one thing that I've recognised about the group that Mikel's got together. He's built a good team of good characters. And they showed that. And the bench come to the fore. Nketiah, I thought, came on and did really well. Pepe came on and obviously changed the game, did really well, which is good for him. And Mikel did say in the week, didn't he? He said he's looked different. He's been happier. Yeah, he didn't want to play, but I mean, I didn't want him to play, but then he said, "No, Mikel, I want to play." So it's all positive, isn't it? I mean, that result was
it's a change, isn't it?
Yeah, not every game we're going to play beautiful football and win 5-1, 4-0. So it was good to see that we've got a different way of winning, and it's good to see that the people come off the bench who have took a lot of stick for not being worthwhile in the Arsenal squad. I mean, if you think about our transfer window, we're never going to get top 4 with Lacazette and Nketiah. Well, Nketiah, come on, changed the game with Pepe, and Lacazette ended up forcing the winner after getting a lot of stick for not playing very well. You know, in the end, we got 3 points. It was the most important thing. So yeah, I was buzzing with the result, to be honest. And long may it continue. You know, we'll play much better than we played in that game. So and Wolves are a very good team as well. So can't deny how good they actually are. So yeah.
Definitely. No, thank you. Lee, obviously, like I said, you know, rack the brain, go back in time, think about the performance, any kind of standout performances, and just how vital those 3 points were, in your opinion.
If you go back to the start of the game and how frustrating it was, and then Gabriel making his mistake for their goal, one thing that really stood out for me is heads not going down, especially Ramsdale in goal, geeing up Gabriel and Ben White at the back, and how well the boys showed a lot of character. They might not have been playing particularly well, but they found a way of getting back into the game. Bobby did touch upon the guys coming off on the bench. Pepe, I thought, worked his socks off when he came on, and he was sort of playing almost as an auxiliary sort of wing back kind of position.
Yeah.
So he was up and down all over the place. And Nketiah going up top with Laka giving a bit of a focal point at the top of the attack. So important for that the equalising goal. To sum it up, after a bit of a dodgy start, decent result, and happy days, 3 points. It's not about winning pretty. Bobby covered that. It's just about winning and doing the best we can, and capitalising on the mistakes, on the drop points of our rivals.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the thing, you know what I mean? It's like I said, you know, I said at the beginning of the season that, you know, for me, finishing 5th or 6th would have been progression. And that's what I wanted to see. To be fair, technically anything above 8th would be deemed progression, obviously given our league positions. But I was trying to aim a little bit higher than that. Now, obviously, given the, you know, you both touched on it. Well, Lee, you touched on it in terms of like, you know, the teams playing in and around us, you know, capitalizing on their mistakes. You know, I personally thought the top 4 was sealed. You know, I looked at Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, and I thought no one's touching those 3. And then when I saw United finish 2nd and then bring in Sancho, Ronaldo, and Varane, I thought, yeah, done deal. Top 4's out of question. But obviously, given the lack of form of United, you know, inconsistency of Spurs, Leicester City have not really pushed on from last season. And given where we are in the league and the games in hand we have, you can't help but dream about top 4. At the same time, my feet are very much on the ground in that if we get top 4, fantastic. However, I'm still looking at 5th and 6th as a realistic league position for us. So all this talk on Twitter that you're getting now, oh, if Arteta doesn't finish top 4, he should get fired. Listen, I've never been Arteta's biggest fan. But even me, I'm not saying that if he doesn't finish top 4, he should get fired. Because at the end of the day, I never envisioned my club to be in this position with this many games to go until the end of the season. So, yeah, you both summed up the game pretty well. You know, it was a massive game. You know, Wolves, as you said, Bobby, are a fantastic side. I think it's almost 3 years since they've lost. 3 years since they've conceded like 2 goals or lost a game. You know, even the commentators were saying when Wolves go ahead, you don't beat them. Do you know what I mean? So it was a fantastic performance. It wasn't pretty. Obviously, there were issues, you know, in terms of being clinical and putting away their goals. But look, we already know that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's no point kind of dwelling on it. But yeah, it was a crucial 3 points. And look, let's just bring on the next game, which we're going to cover later on in the show. But yeah, no, thank you for that, lads. Absolute pleasure and brilliant summary, I must say. Quick little comment here from Mrs. Silver Fox. I was on his stream earlier. Big up yourself. Yes, apologies for being late. Listen, better late than never. So thank you for tuning in. But yeah, listen, we're going to head over and we've got some talking points. Now, depending on how we go, depending on how much time we have left. We'll see if I can get both your opinions, but we'll see how we go. But first of all, I'll come to you, Lee, with this one. Now, I think over the last couple of days, it's been kind of noticed on Twitter from some kind of, mostly, very reliable accounts that ESR is back. Now, I can't even recall whether it was COVID or an injury, but he is back. What are your thoughts about, obviously, him being back? And how vital is it to keep him fit between now and the end of the season?
If I remember correctly, I don't believe it was a COVID-related thing. I think it was a viral thing. You're just not feeling well.
Okay.
How I am delighted to see him back on the training field. That's for sure. His contribution on the season. I know Lottie's a massive fan. If we can get her on in a bit, she'll talk all about that. But we definitely need him around in the squad. That's absolutely vital for me. I wouldn't necessarily pop him straight in if he's available for Watford, but I'll definitely have him around the squad on the bench and very much wrapping him up in cotton wool like he has been for the last few, well, maybe the last month or so when he's playing. He's come off the bench to make an impact because of his injuries and whatnot. But delighted to see him back on the training pitch and a vital cog in our machine, I think.
No problem. Seeing as Lottie's not joined us yet, I will come to you, Bobby, on this one. Any thoughts of obviously, I've seen a lot of comments about ESR. Obviously, we've got the form of Martinelli now to deal with. Odegaard has basically kind of, cemented his place as in that kind of number 10 role. What is your opinion of ESR in terms of coming back into the first team? Would you keep him right now as an impact sub, where he seems to be doing so well, or do you see him as more of a kind of starter moving forward in terms of the next 14 games?
No, I think exactly what Mikel's doing with him seems to be right to me, because even though I'm a big fan of ESR, one thing I have noticed about him is when he does start games, he has spells in games where he seems to quite fade quite a bit, and I think maybe Mikel's noticed that. And if you notice this season, most of his impact has actually come from most of his best impacts coming from the bench. So,
literally.
If you think about Martinelli when he first started, a few young players, they don't always just get thrown into the team straight away, do they? And last year was kind of ESR's kind of breakthrough year. So I think this year, even though his numbers are a lot better, he's probably been. But I know obviously he's picked up a lot of injuries, hasn't he? He's picked up a lot of niggling injuries, not big injuries, but a lot of niggling injuries. So maybe he's still developing physically as well. So I think probably what Mikel's doing with him he's probably right. Yeah, I wouldn't throw him straight into the team. I mean, but also, what you got to look at is, especially after our victory against Wolves, the bench can have a massive impact on our performances, and having someone like ESR to come off the bench is a massive game changer. It's a massive, because how many times have we looked at our bench and thought, if the game's not going a certain way, we think, how are we going to change it? If you've got ESR, Pepe, and Nketiah on the bench now, it's starting to look a lot more useful, isn't it? So man, let the boy rest, as Lee said, wrap him in cotton wool, and he's still young. I mean, look, he scored more goals from the bench than most of the attacking midfielders in the Premier League. Bruno, Mount, he scored more than all of them, hasn't he? So and the starting lineup, if you think about it, we've only lost 1 in 9. Is it 1 in 9 against Man City? That we didn't really deserve to lose. So why change something that doesn't need to be changed? You know what I mean?
100%. And you know what? It's crazy because it's like, obviously we, a lot of Arsenal fans, I've said it before, in terms of January, like I really did think, we should have brought in a striker. But having said that, when you look at our kind of wide positions, if Pepe can find form that he did like at the back end of last season, because he was absolutely on fire the back end of last season. If he can do that, we've got 4 top players vying for 2 positions.
Exactly.
And that's a really, really good, position to be in. And for me, the reason why it really is a good position is because as much as I love Laka, and as much as, there is some sentiment with regards to Eddie, I don't necessarily feel like we can rely on their goals between now and the end of the season. But if you've got 4 wide men that obviously can chip in and get goals, which the 4 of them can, I really feel like they can kind of, you know, carry the burden in terms of the goal scoring. And I think that competition between Martinelli and ESR and Saka, and if Pepe hits form, is exactly what we need, because that's how you're going to get the best out of those 4 players. If those players feel as though their position is not under threat, that's when you get complacency and things like that. Your game might start to kind of falter. But if you know, look, boy, if I don't put in a shift and don't get on the score sheet, there's a chance that ESR is going to come off the bench, or Pepe is going to come off the bench and do what he did the other day. That's going to keep you on your toes. And
I think, I think that in the same sense, I think that's a good thing what Mikel's done with the squad, with it being a bit of a smaller size, because I think now those guys are sat on the bench. They're not sat on the bench with their pals having a laugh, are they? You know, because certain characters have gone now. If you look at that bench now, they look quite more determined characters, you know. So they're going to be looking at the team on the pitch winning, and they're going to want to be part of that, you know. So probably when they go on the pitch now, they're going to go on the pitch with a different attitude, with a different verve inside them, you know. I mean, and also when you look at our last 2 performances, I think we've had more shots in our last 2 games than any other team in the Premier League this season. In the first half against Brentford, we had 14 shots, which is a record. I don't think any team's had more shots than that. So when you look at the way that we're actually playing with those guys on the bench, you know, it seems like those on the pitch are actually hungry and doing what Mikel wants. And then those that are coming off the bench are just that little bit extra, a little bit of sprinkling quality that we can also have, you know. So everybody seems to be firing everybody up now, and it's good, man. It's really good. It's going to be interesting to see how we go over the next few games now. We've got a good thing going now. No,
definitely. You want to come in, Lee, before we move on?
Just really briefly. I was thinking, just as we're talking along there, the importance of the sharing the goals around by the team, like we just mentioned, Pepe, Smith Rowe. It almost reminds me of Lacazette. It's very, very similar to Emil Heskey in that he might not have had a superb goal return, but being so important, leading that line, bringing other people into the play, that's Lacazette's importance of our team, plus his leadership as well.
It's a very, very young side, and they need that experience on the pitch. Whether he's getting the goals or not, you know, you take Laka out that side, and all of a sudden, you know, it's a bunch of babies pretty on like.
Is you right?
Forward. Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for those opinions. Next up, the next talking point is Saka contract talks. Now, I'm going to come to you first on this one, Bobby. Now, obviously, there's conflicting rumours. You're hearing rumours a couple of weeks ago that, you know, Saka is somewhat, you know, reluctant to sign a contract. He wants to see how the top 4 race goes. He has ambitions and dreams of playing in the Champions League. And then most recently, Fabrizio himself has come out and said, look, Saka loves Arsenal Football Club, which we know, loves the city, loves the fans. You know, his intention is obviously to sign a new contract. However, obviously right now he's focused on, obviously, the Arsenal's campaign. How important is it to tie this guy down? 1, on a long-term contract, and 2, do you think we have anything to worry about right now?
Personally, no. I'm quite staunch on this because Saka is the same age as my son, and they both kind of came up in the youth system kind of together. So I've kind of always seen him around, you know, and I kind of know the boy's character, and he's not like a lot of the young boys, you know. I mean, if you think about it, we give him the number 7. Southgate took him to the Euros, and he was one of the main players there. All these people aren't doing all of this because he's just an average kid, you know. This boy's a very good young footballer, but also a very young, intelligent, nice young man, you know. And I think that his heart is 100% set on Arsenal. He's an Arsenal fan. He grew up at the club. I think his intentions is to become an Arsenal legend and have a statue outside the stadium and retire.
Music
I think
to
all
my
the talk,
ears, man. Music to my ears.
I think all the talk on Twitter is just talk about Liverpool. Klopp like him. Of course, they're going to like him. Saka is fantastic. They like all our players. He said the same thing about Martinelli 2 years ago. But until he signs, there's always going to be speculation. Isn't there? There's always going to be speculation, especially with social media now. They take little bits, little snippets, little stories, and they run with it, don't they? Any hint of unhappiness at Arsenal, they're going to use that. Or Saka might leave. You know, he's obviously come out and said, "Look, I just want to concentrate on the football. Let's concentrate on the football. We'll get to the summer, and then we'll see what happens." And I think that it won't be like Theo Walcott signed the ting and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll just. I think it'll just happen, you know. His last one seemed to happen without much fanfare and fuss, and I think that, you know, I think it's going to be, you know, he's asked for a long time. I think it's going to be good to see this young boy thrive and grow, you know.
Definitely. Lee, any thoughts on obviously Saka's contract and you know, how integral do you think he is in terms of building a team around him?
He's one of them you want in your side because he can. We've seen it so often, playing in all sorts of positions as well. But, you know, he started up at, you know, we have had him at left back, we've had him at left midfield, right midfield. He's thriving, isn't he? When he comes in on his left foot, he's fantastic. I don't think we've got any worry about him leaving. Listen, Liverpool might like him or whatever. You know what? I like Salah. Doesn't mean to say he's going to join us, does it? You know what I mean?
It's very true, man. It's very true.
That's a scoop. You've heard it here first, guys. But yeah, you know, he's a Haaland kid. He's been with us for an awful long time. I've mentioned this to Lottie before. The picture that really stands out for me is Saka with that beautiful picture of Rocky, and you're the same age as me, G, more or less. You'll remember how good Rocky is, and how integral he was to getting righty. We know what we've got another generation there, and if he could be half as good as Rocky, we've got a hell of a player there.
Yeah, man. Definitely. No, great, man. You know what? These are amazing opinions, and I'm not sure if Lottie is backstage. She might be. I think she's come up, but we'll just hold that thought and move on ever so slightly. So the next talking point, as I can say, you know, as I said, it's been busy. You know, there's not been so much football, but there's been a lot of talking points. And I'm not even sure who I'm going to come to first on this one. I'll come to you first on this one, Lee. Lewandowski. Now we all know who he is. You know,
never heard of him.
Absolute legend of the game, 34, still topping the charts with 28 goals in Bundesliga. Now, there have been some mad out there rumors this week saying that we are one of the teams that is looking at him. Now, is Lewandowski a player that we should, be looking at? And how would you feel about if we signed him?
I would say that's putting the club in the wrong direction. Hi! You're right, mate.
Lee, continue. Ignore me for a minute, otherwise I'm going to go off screen. Go on.
Righto, Lottie. But yeah, all good. Yeah, so Lewandowski, I would suggest, is the going in the wrong direction for us. Not for us. Not to say he can do a job for someone, because he's still banging in goals and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm looking more of a longer term for us. I don't think signing someone for, what should we call it, say 2 years or something, as good as Lewandowski is, I think it'll be a lot of money, which money is something we're saving an awful lot on, particularly with Aubameyang gone. Who? I can't remember. Never heard of him. But yeah, to quote Simon Cowell, it's a no for me.
Bobby. 34, 28 goals this season. You know, he scored 8 more goals than the second player. I can't remember his name, but I know we're linked to him. He's a striker. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he, you know, at 34, he's still obviously, you know, knows where the goal is. He's 28, you know, 28 goals this season. Would you not be tempted to sign him up on a short 1 year deal? For me personally, all day long, I'd take him
all day long. He's an elite forward. There's not many of that level in world football as we speak now. There's no strikers like him. And I think what he would bring, I mean, at his age, 34, he still looks as good as he looked when he was 28. And I think what he'd bring is, because of the way that he carries himself and the way that he acts, I think that he wouldn't be the same as what Ronaldo has been at Man United, because he doesn't bring an ego. I think he just comes with quality, and his quality rubs off on those around him. I think if he replaces Laka for 2 years, we're in the Champions League, and we could say bring him in for free, give him 200 grand a week for 2 years, and also bring in a young, like a Jonathan David, or Isaac. The kid I want personally is the boy from Benfica. Diaz, is it?
Diaz.
Every time I see that boy, I think he's electric. He's fantastic. Every time I've seen him, he's impressed me. So he's the one that I actually want. But if he was, obviously we're going to need 2 strikers. So we could get him for a couple of years and have a young striker as well. And then when by the time Lewandowski's rubbed off his experience on us and hopefully scored a few goals for us, and you never know, led us to the Champions League, because Mikel Arteta, I think he's a special manager. He could do that, especially with all those other young weapons that he'll have around him, the Saka, the Martinelli, to the Odegaard, the ESR. If we buy another good young midfielder and, with our solid back four, I think anything could be possible with a league. Well, look what we've done. If we get top 4 with Eddie and Lacazette, I think if we was to have a striker like Lewandowski, finishing off those chances that we've been seeing Lacazette miss all year, and bring in the extra stuff that he brings as well. I mean, I know he's coming from the Bundesliga, where it's not quite the Premier League, but this boy's been doing it at the elite level in the Champions League. But for how long, So for me, it's an all day. For me, it'd be a no-brainer. If he wanted to come to Arsenal, and apparently he likes the club, for me, it'd be an absolute no-brainer if we could get someone else as well. And we've got money as well. It's not like we've just saved half our wage though. We surely we could just add one more, and we've got another 4 or 5 leaving in the summer, haven't we? So for me, it's an all day no-brainer. Lewandowski, we could not turn him down. Sorry.
Lottie, I'm going to bring you in now. First of all, good.
Hello, Lottie, by the way. Hello, Lottie.
Hi, Bobby. It's nice to meet you finally. I've heard lots about you.
Nice to meet you too, man. I watch you all the time, man. So I know all about you.
Absolutely brilliant. Lee, hi, Lee. I'm going to say hi to you now. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I didn't expect G to add me to the screen. That's why I had the camera.
You know what? I wasn't going to add you straight away, and I thought, go on there.
You should have waited for the boys to finish, then added me in. He's so sorry.
But how are you, Lottie? You all good?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm absolutely buzzing. The women have just won 4-0. We're top of the league.
Excellent.
What a result.
Days. Wicked goals as well. And I am back tomorrow with an update on the women's show. I've got my guests 7:30, so I'm happy. I'm back.
Excellent. We'll definitely talk about that more at the end of the show. But quickly before we move on, I just want to get your quick thoughts on Lewandowski. Obviously, you've heard what Lee said.
I want him. I love him.
Opinion.
I love him.
What's your opinion?
He's one of my favourite strikers to watch. That's a non-Arsenal player. I mean, the guy's got everything. Bobby said it all, but there's also the side where can he compete? Yes, he's played Champions League football, but can he compete in the Premier League, the hardest league in the world? Because we've all seen Jadon Sancho he tore up the Bundesliga for 2 seasons in a row, and he's completely dropped off the map now. So it's the case of him moving over to us and us consistently getting Champions League football if we get that 4th spot, and that's what concerns me, because if we don't consistently get Champions League football, he's going to do an Aubameyang, and I know he likes to play ball, but could he do an Aubameyang and behave like Aubameyang? But with Aubameyang, he's notorious for it, so you just got to look at past behaviour. I think I was one of the very few Arsenal fans that didn't want him in the first place because of that. And I think
the point Bobby made about kind of the ego stuff, I think that definitely will come into play with regards to signing a player of that age and that kind of magnitude. But it's what this show is all about opinions. That's what we encourage, difference in opinion. We're just different from Twitter because we can actually have an adult conversation without getting abusive. So,
I've missed the first 25 minutes. Have you talked about my favourite get rid of yet? Have you?
No, we haven't. So
Okay.
we haven't.
No worries.
We haven't.
I'll
So
shut
bear
up.
with me. Bear with me. We're gonna go to the comments real quick. Josh Jones, good evening. Says, I'm sure he's signing from the outside. Both him and ESR love the club. Absolutely bang on. That was the opinion we all shared. Mrs. Silver Fox again. Stop with the Lewandowski talk. High wages goes against what we're trying to do. So pretty much agrees with Lee. Josh Jones, no, definitely not. Goes against everything that's been in the last 2 windows. And lastly, Mr. Silver Fox says, do you mean Darwin Núñez?
That's
I'm
the
not
guy.
too sure. That's the guy, innit?
Yeah.
That's
For
the
some
guy.
reason,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Diaz in my head. I don't know why.
I have Brahim Diaz in my head for some reason.
But yeah, Mr. Silver Fox, thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying. But yeah,
Yeah,
you know what we
did.
meant. You know what we meant. But yeah, so the next 3 talking points, obviously, I've kind of designated each one to you. However, if you do really have a strong opinion on it, by all means, come in. But first of all, I'm going to come to Lottie, because obviously, Lottie, you've been somewhat obviously catching up with the women's game. You just jumped on.
Preoccupied.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. So this is
Don't
the
you
talking
always?
point. Yeah, of course I do. This is the talking
Yes.
point. Guendouzi and Mavro Panos, or Panos, or whatever you want to call it, exits. Talk to me. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts?
Did you not see my tweets? I heard the rumor from the Arsenal presser, and then I heard the confirmation. Then I saw the Fabrizio Romano confirmation. I've been watching that man's account all day, waiting for it, just waiting, and I'm like, hey, I was sitting in the office, like just constantly waiting for the notification bell to go off. I'm sitting there like, come on, announce it, and it went off, and then obviously I did my GF. I'm so happy he's gone. I don't hate him. I dislike him because of his childish behaviour. I don't care about his ball skills. It didn't work for me.
What ball
He's a
skills?
child.
Does that all stem from the Brighton game, Lottie? Or anything in general?
It's anything in general. I never liked his attitude in the first place.
No.
Do you feel... So, obviously, with regards to Guendouzi, I'm very clear how you feel. It's absolutely fine. But do you feel like... Mavropanos has had somewhat of a, raw deal at Arsenal? Or do you just feel as though he's not good enough and you're kind of happy to see him moved on?
He didn't get enough minutes for me. I can't really say if he was good enough or not. He just didn't get enough minutes. What we did see was very minimal for me. And I can't say, he missed out, he did this or did that. For me, it was very minimal. He wasn't, even if he was on, he was one of them players you didn't really notice. You were watching other players. And it's just like, he didn't do it. Just.
And it was under several managers as well. It wasn't just under one particular manager. So you would have thought like if he was going to have a future at the club, one of these managers would have somewhat noticed him. Bobby or Lee, just feel free to jump in. Any opinions, obviously, on these 2 players being moved on?
Do you remember his performance against Man United at Old Trafford a few years
ago?
back?
Man of the match.
He was fantastic, and I thought from then, we've got a player here. Yeah. And I can't remember who it was sent him away. Was it Emery? Was it Emery who sent him away? Then was that his? I can't
remember which one it was.
I can't remember. It was either him or it might have even been Wenger. And I think he got injured, didn't he? He got a big injury, and then he went away on loan. So same as like you said, he hasn't really been given a run of minutes for us to make an opinion on him. So I feel a little bit hard done by, because he's also done well when he's been at Stuttgart, haven't he? Stuttgart have quite liked him and stuff, and he's always had good reviews and stuff. So I was a bit surprised about Mavropanos. Where Guendouzi is concerned, I share exactly the same views as Lottie. You probably know G. You probably hear me talk about him in the Arsenal chat. I can't stand the kid. I know, like I said, that she is bordering on hate. I genuinely just can't stand him. I just think that he's a dressing room cancer. Those are the kind of characters that we don't need to have at Arsenal. When you think about the dressing room that we had before, with likes of him, Mustafi, Ozil, Aubameyang, just imagine Mikel Arteta coming into that dressing room. Those characters compared to the types of characters that he's got now, and now look at the results that we're getting. Dressing room chemistry and characters is so important to you trying to build something. When you look at Liverpool, and when you look at even the good Arsenal teams, when you look at all the good teams, look at the characters in their teams. That's why they win. It's because of the characters. It's not because of the flair, because of the step overs, because of the hair. It's because of the because of the characters, because of the heart, because of the commitment, because of the desire. And that was just something that I didn't see from Guendouzi at all. All I saw from him was shithousery and diving and getting in people's face and all that winding mope up about his wage packet and all that kind of stuff. That's not the kind of stuff that we want at Arsenal. And obviously, Mikel's seen that straight away because he did give him a chance, didn't he? Because he played at his first few games. And then he just thought, no, you're obviously not for me. But also, there's obviously been other things with him, hasn't he? He fell out with people when they went on holiday, and so there's been a lot of issues with him. And he's even had issues at Marseille as well. So
every single club that he's been at, there's been some form of kind of ill discipline or ill-mannered behaviour. Do you know what I mean? To a certain extent. Lee, any thoughts on these two players? Because basically both will confirm today that they will be moving permanently to Marseille, Stuttgart.
So Guendouzi, whole heap of nothing for me. A whole heap of time at Arsenal. I think he had one assist at our club, and that was about it. A whole heap of winding people up, a whole heap of negative attitude, a whole heap of I wasn't really a fan, really. But as for the other kid, Mavropanos, or however you say it, I don't know. Sorry, I might have butchered it. You know what? I wish the kid all the best because I've heard good reports of him doing well on loan. Never really had an awful lot of minutes at Arsenal. We have got, especially at the moment, we're pretty strong. We've got Rob Holding as, might divide opinion, especially on this channel. But I feel he's a good fit with the club. I don't think he's ever going to get Mavropanos ever going to get any game time. Hope he does well. Wish him all the best.
No problem. Thank you. We'll go to the comments so we can breeze through these and then we'll move on. George Sullivan here, good riddance. We've got Mrs. Silver Fox saying, happy to see Guendouzi go. As for Mavro, I like him. Never really got that chance, but we got Rob Holding and that young French fella Saliba.
Never heard of him.
Negative attitude, both on and off the pitch, in my opinion, from Guendouzi. Glad he's gone. Pretty unanimous at the moment. He played football a bit like rugby league. He just ran with the ball. He met someone and told
He was handling it as well.
Well done, Jamie.
At Lottie, one of his most memorable moments was getting booked.
There it is.
There it is. Do you know what? I've got that meme especially reserved for when times get bad. I've actually got that on my favourites on my camera roll.
Yeah.
Got it as a meme.
Keith here. Good evening, Keith. I'll back Lottie here. So happy Guendouzi's gone. Awful attitude. Massively overrated. Mavro, though, always thought his ceiling was high. Keith again, I'll say it. Guendouzi is a...
Yeah, they're one of them.
And Rudy Sakar. Good evening, Rudy. Hi, guys. Good win for the ladies tonight.
You should have said door handle.
Yeah. That would have been better. I don't even know what sound that was.
What's
to be honest.
Is that
the first sound. What can I mask it with? And I just went, I don't know. Anyway.
Sorry, guys.
Good serve, man. Good serve.
Right. Now, I'm going to come. This is
falling apart, mate.
This is the second of the last three talking points. Obviously, I came to Lottie first with regards to Guendouzi and Mavro. So I'm going to come to you, Bobby, with this one. And it's another player that we have been linked with. Now, I have to be honest. I knew quite a bit. Well, I knew of this kid quite a bit. I can't remember who he played for, but I do remember there was a whole heap of madness about, obviously, an over £100 million player he cost for Atletico Madrid. He was supposed to be like the next Ronaldo, next Messi, etc., etc. And since he's been at Madrid, I've not really watched much about him. The most recent thing I know is that he scored a goal against United. Get in. But other than that, I don't know very much about him. I know you are quite knowledgeable in terms of, like, obviously kind of global football. You do watch a lot of football kind of outside of the Premier League. Talk to me about this kid. Is this the type of player that, in your opinion, we should be targeting? And, would he really fit in at Arsenal?
Is he the kind of player that we should be targeting? Yes, 100%. Would he fit in at Arsenal in the style of football that Arsenal that Mikel Arteta seems to be playing? Definitely, 100%. It's like if you look at the way Man City play, and they seem to have lots of little tricky players that can play in a variety of positions. And if you think about Saka, he could play across the front three, really. Saka could probably play across the front three. Odegaard could probably play across the front three. And so could Martinelli. And this kid is up there. He's like one of the best of his age in the world. He's got amazing ability with both feet. I think he's like 22, 23. He's been in the Champions League regularly since he's made his debut. You probably have to look past the price tag, obviously, because price tags, Pepe was 83 million, wasn't it? 70-odd million, whatever he was. So the price tag has probably inflated him a bit. But one thing is that he's on a 7-year contract at Atletico Madrid. So I don't quite know where the links have come from, to be honest, because he's kind of like almost like their main player. Griezmann sits on the bench and this boy starts. So I don't know how true the links are, because what I have read is that he didn't actually fit into Simeone's system straight away. Because as you know, Simeone is a very defensive oriented, and this kid's quite flary and he's not really a defensive kind of player. So he didn't really fit in at first, but this season he's pretty much started every single game. And but what the talk has been is that he wants to swap him for a Valencia player, Guedes, who's 25 and who doesn't play. So whether there's something that they could do with his deal. And what actually happened the other day, because I was actually talking to my son about this, and because my son loves him as well. He was talking to me about him, and he was actually in London the other day. He was at the
he was at the cup final, weren't he?
I think he was at the final, but he was going around London taking pictures on his Instagram and stuff. So my son sent me a picture of him in London, saying, "Look, Dad, he might be coming to speak. He might be coming to speak to us."
every top player that's in London's talking to Arsenal.
I said that
all over again.
I said, just like the Isaac one, when he was driving his Bentley and he's registered his car and all that kind of stuff.
That's it.
You know what it is with
never underestimate Arsenal fan when it comes.
You know what it is though with Gel Felix. What it is with Gel Felix though, like I said, I don't know too much about him, in recent times, so I can't really comment on his performance, how he's done at Atletico Madrid. But my concern is, I didn't realize, like you said, Bobby, I didn't realize he was on a 7-year contract. And two, what I do know is that he went to Atletico Madrid on big money. So if I'm thinking, if this guy is not even coming close to the end of his contract and Atletico Madrid paid that much money for him, how realistic is he as a signing? Because as we know with the Partey deal, they would not budge on that release clause. So Atletico Madrid strikes me as the kind of club that they're going to want to make a profit. So can I realistically see Arsenal bidding, in excess of 105, 110 million for him as a player? I really don't know. With regards to this player, obviously Lee and Lottie, any thoughts on him at all in terms of coming to Arsenal or potentially coming to Arsenal?
Do you know what? I've been watching him since we've been linked to him properly, and when I've seen him play, I've actually quite enjoyed watching him play. Okay. I've been watching Atleti a bit more this season, purely on the basis because they've got one of my favourite midfielders in from Udinese this season, which is Rodrigo de Paul. I've really wanted him in the summer, but
beautiful player.
Yeah. He's do you know what it is about him? It's not what he looks like. He's a fans player. He's got that same sort of attitude as Aaron Ramsdale, and that's even if they're losing, he's still got that attitude, and I absolutely adore it. But yeah, no, I'd have him. But if it's 7 years on his contract, no, thank you. They're gonna. He's only 22 years old, and time release comes around, he's gonna be 29.
Yeah. Lee, any thoughts on Gel Felix?
I really like Felix cat food. No, I don't really know much about him, to be fair.
I rate that. Love it. No problem at all.
No, I can't comment. I'm not qualified enough. I don't see enough of the La Liga.
No worries.
Unfortunately.
But on that note, I am going to come to you next with regards to this one. Obviously, I'll come to Lottie with regards. I can't even remember what it was now. I've lost my train of thought. But the next one.
Sideshow Bob Jr.
Yes. So I went to Lottie with regards to Maverick Guendouzi. I came to Bobby with regards to Gel Felix. So I'm gonna bring this topic to you. And it's not necessarily an Arsenal related topic, but at the end of the day, it's probably the biggest news in the world of football. So I feel as though we ought to talk about it. Now, we're going to somewhat refrain from talking about, obviously, the conflict going on in Ukraine at the moment, other than obviously sending, our prayers and thoughts to everybody involved, and
Absolutely.
ultimately what we all want is a peaceful and quick resolution to what's happening. But obviously whatever's happening in that part of the world is having a massive impact on the footballing world, which does concern us, obviously, on this channel. Obviously the conflict concerns us, but we're going to keep it football focused. Now, obviously it's come out today that Abramovich will be he's basically confirmed it himself. There were lots of rumors, but he's come out and said he will be selling Chelsea Football Club. Now, what are your thoughts? Is this obviously it's going to have a massive impact on Chelsea as a football club? But yeah, just literally, just give it to me. What are your thoughts with regards to this breaking news that only just happened a couple hours ago?
So let's talk about Abramovich as an owner, shall we? As much as we might not like him personally, I think the guy has put so much money into that club, and with no consideration or no thought about wanting to take it back from the club back to him, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And he certainly has changed the game in terms of transfer market, and I mean he's constantly backed the managers in terms of the market. Yeah, right. Sorry, he's constantly backed the managers in terms of spending the money for with the club.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I mean, I believe he said something about wanting to sell the club with the net profit towards send it towards funds to support people who need it through the conflict. I believe.
Yeah.
I think that was the quote on Sky that I read. Did you hear about this piece of gossip that's flying around the place? Conor McGregor of UFC fame.
I did.
You heard
this? Actually. Yeah, I saw it.
Saying he wants a piece of it.
Potentially trying to raise the funds to actually put in a cheeky bid for Chelsea. I didn't know whether to laugh or actually take the comment seriously, but by all accounts,
McGregor is one of them. He'll say something and go and do it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, so I watch a bit of that sort of world. I won't bring too much of it here, but I would not be surprised to see Mr. McGregor doing all this sort of.
I'd love it. I'd love it if Conor McGregor bought Chelsea.
Can you imagine?
That'd be great.
Crazy, that'd be crazy. Do you think, Bobby? Do you think? Obviously, it's a lot of kind of if, buts, or maybes. Like at the moment, all we do know is that he's officially come out and actually said he's going to sell the club. I think a lot of kind of rival fans are, somewhat kind of obviously, not necessarily excited by the fact that Abramovich is going to sell, but I think most people would admit that, Chelsea have been pretty fortunate to have, an owner that has been, somewhat, selfless in terms of just his drive and ambition. With him, it's never been a money thing. It's all been about the success and bringing trophies and success to Chelsea. Joe, what's the likelihood that they're going to get a potential owner coming in that's going to have the same kind of drive and ambition that Abramovich has shown Chelsea?
Well, for starters, I don't really think it's drive and ambition. I just think it's a Russian billionaire with lots of money just trying to show his hand, just trying to. It's almost like Chelsea was just like a playground thing. He's got no loyalty towards anything in London. If he had any loyalty towards or passions for football, he'd go and buy his local team in Russia. It's just a play thing. It's about clout. It's about billionaires in their playground with the biggest yacht and all that kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with anything other than that and him making himself look good. Chelsea, when I were a kid, I remember always, whenever I used to watch Match of the Day, they had half a stadium. And they'd have players like Dennis Wise, and I've always hated Chelsea. I've always hated them as a club. So when they got the money and started spending like they did, I hated them even more. So now that this is happening, I'm laughing. I think it's great. I think it's. They don't deserve all their success anyway. Because it's not like they earned it. It's not like they've got heritage or proper history like Liverpool, like Arsenal, like Manchester United. They've just got a billionaire who's come in and just turned them into actually something. All these kids now look at Chelsea like they're actually something, but they're not.
Throwing that money away.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's true. So I've got no respect for them. I've got no pity at all. And I want someone to come in and buy them who hasn't really got the money, and they end up getting relegated or something. They can end up like a Leeds to me. Honestly, I can't stand Chelsea.
No problem. Brilliant. No problem. Thank you so much. And you know what? That pretty kind of wraps up all our talking points before we now move on to basically previewing the Watford game. Now, obviously, we're on about the 50-minute mark. So we're going to do this literally in about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to bring up now, thank you for those who are watching and have stuck with us throughout, obviously, the content so far. Oops, I just need to make sure I plug in my laptop because it's just told me it's about to die. Bear with me.
Right. So if you haven't already, give it a like, give it a share.
Yes, Lee.
Give Cannon
Those
Chapter
of you
a follow
watching,
on
if
Twitter.
you haven't already liked, and for whatever weird, strange reason you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'm only playing. Please do like and please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for reminding me, Lee. That's something Stephen definitely would have done. He's probably sitting at home frowning now that I forgot that.
That's my boy.
But yeah, what I'm going to do now is we're going to do a short preview, obviously, of the Watford game, which is taking place on Sunday. Now, hopefully this image, okay, yeah, it's not too bad. Right, now, can you guys see, or would you rather me bring up both your teams separately?
I know mine off the top of my head.
All right, no problem. So, the top of the screen, we have Lee's team, I believe. And at the bottom of the screen, we have Bobby's. Now, Lee, very briefly, in about a minute, can you just kind of breeze through your selection and obviously why?
Okay, my selection basically is the same as the Wolves game, with the exception of Martinelli not playing and, controversially, Pepe playing. Because Pepe made such an impact. He impressed me with his work rate, how he ran, changing the game. I was quite impressed with him. I didn't feel Martinelli had a particularly good game, so I thought maybe give him a rest. For the rest of the sides, Cedric at right back, because I don't think I've seen anything of Tomiyasu being anywhere near ready.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it speaks for itself, because I don't think I've seen anything of being anywhere near ready. I've got an echo.
Yeah.
It's because of the second layer, isn't it?
Yes, okay. Keep going.
Otherwise, I know Saka. I've moved Saka onto his other side to fit Pepe in, and I know what I said earlier on. Saka definitely better off in the right, but I don't want to throw ESR in too early. So, the rest of it speaks for itself. Partey had an excellent game. Even 34 was so good the other day that even Lottie called him Xhaka.
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
You slipped up, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, credit's due where credit's due. I still think he's a piece of doo-doo. So
no worries. We're gonna come to you, Lottie, in a second. I'm gonna get you to kind of critique these two lineups. Bobby, talk me through your lineup. Obviously, it's slightly different to Lee's, but talk me through your lineup and why you've picked those players.
Well, I just kept it the same, just alluding to what the point that I made before about our previous form, and having people on the bench with good attitudes and having weapons that will be able to come in and change the game. I think it's only Watford, so give them on the pitch the opportunity to build up some more confidence and maybe get some goals. And if we need to change the game, then change it. But yeah, I'll just keep it the same as it is.
Yeah. And you know what? It's crazy because like it's getting to the point now where it doesn't actually take very long to kind of put an Arsenal 11 together, which I think is, obviously a really, really, really good sign, because what we're seeing is the building of a team and obviously the consistency in terms of performances. So I'll come to you now, Lottie. Obviously, looking at those two teams, I'm not necessarily going to ask you which one would you choose, but looking at those two teams, what 11 would you pick in terms of, is there anything you would do differently? Because I know your last one was a little controversial with ESR going up front. So talk to me about these two teams and what you would do differently. Or is there one that you would actually pick for the game against Watford?
first of all, boys, I am very disappointed you have not got my boy in there. I am so upset with you for a start, yeah? But I know he's had COVID, so I'm only playing. No, do you know what? They're really decent teams. And Martinelli was absolute. He wasn't on the ball the other game, and I'm going to have to go with Lee's team. That's the team I put out.
Thanks, mate.
It's all right, Lee. But I don't know if he's been overplayed or what with Martinelli, but he wasn't himself, and I could see that's from sitting behind the Wolves bench for that game. So but they're both really good teams. It's going to be either Pepe or Martinelli. The team's going to stay the same. There's just going to be absolutely no changes. That back five is completely cemented now until Tommy's back. Midfield, we know our favourite player is going to always be there. Partey is always there. Odegaard's always going to be there. It's just the front three just gets shuffled around. Yeah. Apart from maybe Lacazette, who's not even scoring. So I don't know how he's still getting starts, to be fair.
Yeah.
But they're both really good, boys. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
No problem. You know what it is for me? I feel as though, because I know we kind of spoke about Lacazette's role in the team, earlier on when we kind of covered the Wolves game. I think that, first of all, the teams are practically, the same. And I think right now, in Arteta's mind, I think in a lot of Arsenal fans' minds, it's generally who's going to play wide right and who's going to play wide left. That's really where the question mark is. There are sections of Arsenal fans that will say Saka all day long, and I think most people will agree with that. At the same time, we do need to be aware that we've got to give Pepe enough minutes because he showed the other night that he's a class player, and if he can find anything like the form he had at the back end of last season, then boy, he could fire us to top four. At the same time, on the left, for me again, it's a dilemma because Martinelli has looked fantastic, recently. And I do feel like it's a little bit unfair to drop him out of the side. Having said that, when you look at the impact ESR, has, albeit some people might argue from the bench, again, it's so difficult. I think the goalkeeper, the back four, the midfield, the number 10 picks itself. And I think given the influence and the experience of Lacazette, even though he's not getting goals, I think he's going to start in this team 9 out of 10 times between now and the end of the season. But the real debate is obviously who plays wide, left and right. And I think it's a good problem to have. So yeah, both fantastic teams. And to be honest, if I saw either of them, or if I saw a different team in terms of left and right, you know what? I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So yeah, cheers for that, lads. Two really good teams that you picked. Now, very, very quickly. Yeah, go on.
Real, about 20 seconds. Just want to give a little shout out to Zach Swanson, who had his first appearance on the bench, and Hutchinson, of course. Now, I mentioned the last time I spoke to Lottie on stream. Don't be surprised to see some of the younger kids get a chance to go on the bench. And it's just lovely to see them two on the bench for the previous match.
Definitely. No, I appreciate that. Big up the youngsters. That's what we're all about as a club. But obviously, we know how vital this game is. 14 games to go. Every game seems like a cup final, and every game is a cup final between now and the end of the season, particularly with, our competitors, stumbling along the way. Still got really massive games in the league. So, score predictions. Lottie, I'll come to you first.
And I haven't got a score. Oh God.
She's gone two in a row.
Spot. Whatever.
I've had two back-to-back scores correct. Bear this in mind.
Exactly. So come on, let's go. What's your score?
Do you know what? Leave me till last because I've always been last to announce my score.
That's not fair. That means you're gonna take Bobby and Lee's score, and then you're gonna get like an average score, and then come up with something.
2-0 to the Arsenal. Get lost.
2-0 to the Arsenal. There you go.
That is bullying behaviour, please. You're my witnesses. He's bullying me. I'm gonna go.
Can't be doing bullying on stream. Cyber bullying.
2-0 to the
Arsenal. I got to go.
Lee, what are you saying?
All right, I'm going to take, as Lottie's taken my one, I'll go for 3-1 to Arsenal.
3-1 to the Arsenal. Bobby, what are you saying?
That's fantasy football points as well.
Exactly.
So Lottie's going.
She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I need to write these down for Stephen. So Lottie's going 2-0.
Lee. G. Yeah. Stephen's going 1-0 to the Arsenal.
There he is.
Lee's going 3-1. Stephen is going 1-0 to the Arsenal. Bobby, what are you saying?
I'm saying 2-0, sir.
2-0. Yes. So Bobby's going 2-0. He's backing the person that's got the last two right, isn't it? You know what I mean?
He knows not
No,
to
you know
argue
what?
with
I
Chelsey.
had 2-0 in my head, man. I'm thinking
Yeah.
a nice clean 2-0 away performance versus bottom of the league. Man, that'd be nice for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need.
You know what? I'm
fantasy
gonna
football
go.
wins.
I'm just gonna go out there, like literally. I'm just gonna go 4-0 Arsenal. Bring it.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
4-0 Arsenal.
Considering
Got them all
Watford
down.
held Man United at home.
Yeah, I know.
Away, I
But
should
listen,
say.
listen. We just beat Wolves after Wolves haven't lost like a game in a winning position
We
or
haven't
whatever
done
it
the
is in
we
3
haven't done the
years.
double
So,
over them in how many seasons?
yeah,
Does
man. So
anybody
I'm
actually
backing
know?
the
True.
I
boys.
don't.
I'm backing the boys. I'm backing the
We've
boys.
had 50 shots in our last 2 games, man. Yes.
Yeah.
And
So at
Palace
some
scored
point,
4 against
That's the
them as
stat I
well.
like.
yeah. At some point,
Exactly.
we're gonna, these chances are gonna hit
Both
the
of
back of
those
the net, and
results.
I'm backing they're gonna do it against Watford.
I keep saying that Barty's going to score one in the top corner from 35 yards. It's going to happen sometime, isn't it?
You know what? The only way that ball
It's
is
got to.
going in is if he stands
just out of
beyond the
just
halfway
out of
line.
probability,
Then it'll be on
it's
target.
gonna happen. Probability,
Take a
it's
goal
gonna
kick.
happen at some point. Brilliant, right?
Sorry, G, I'm just bringing this up.
Yeah,
Bobby, you've been given the charity bet.
nice.
So
Happy
it's
nice.
going to be...
That's what
Yeah, so
Party
what we do
needs.
basically,
No,
just to kind
that,
of,
Lee,
just to
that's
kind of
what
let you.
Nick Eddie needs. Let's just get
I
that
know.
straight.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, so basically, Bobby, if you don't know, and any of you that are watching don't know, every single show we do either a fan or a guest bet. And what we basically do this season, our charity bet, all kind of winnings goes to the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance. It's a charity that's close to Stephen's heart. One, because obviously very personal to him, they basically saved his friend's life. So what we do is we take a bet from either a fan or a guest or a viewer from the show. We basically place a £1 bet. Obviously 2-0 to the Arsenal, 6-1. I think that returns £7. So obviously if that bet comes in, all the winnings and proceeds from that will go to the Northern Ireland Air Ambulance. So that's kind of the context in why we do that.
Okay.
Obviously
That's
next season, we will pick a
Cool.
different charity. Obviously it might be Lottie's choice, it might be my choice, but yeah, that's why we do that. So keep your scores coming into the chat. I think Lottie or Stephen is going through them. Thank you very much, because we're kind of round up the show very shortly.
Also, boys, sorry, G. Jamie's also putting on a bet for us. Any money he wins, he does add is adding to our pot, and Jamie is going for 3-0, and he has that 10-1.
Excellent.
So I believe if he's putting £1 on, he'll get 11 quid back. He's probably been a bit more knowing Jamie. Jamie, let us know how much you're putting on. I'm just gonna jump back up here to Riddy. Riddy's going 4-2.
Yep.
That could be good for the fantasy football. And Mr. Silver Fox has done one better than G.
Going 5-0.
He's got to 5-0.
There we go.
I need clean sheet, man. I got 2 Arsenal defenders, man.
I've got Ramsdale, ESR, and Saka. Any of them three, I'm happy.
Wicked.
I'm happy.
And you know what? That pretty much rounds up tonight's show. Now, all that needs to be said at this point is, Lottie, I'm going to hand over to you, because I know you told us when you jumped on. When are you back with regards to the ladies' show?
I'm back tomorrow night at 7:30. At the moment, it's me and one of my regular panelists, Matt. We're just going to be talking all things Arsenal. Obviously, the ladies won 4-0 over Reading tonight, sending us, I believe, 5 points clear of Chelsea.
Fantastic.
At top of the league, which is absolutely fantastic. And obviously, we've got a lot to catch up on. I've been away for a little bit too long.
Yeah, definitely.
So
No,
I'll be back at 7:30 tomorrow.
Excellent. And in terms of, for those of you who don't know, it was Canon Chatter TV's birthday this week. Not sure I think it was on Tuesday, and we did. No, actually, I think it was Tuesday, but we were planning to actually do a big birthday show. But unforeseen circumstances, we couldn't do it. But we are going to be bringing you that birthday show next week. So do stay tuned on Twitter and obviously subscribe and notifications for when that's going to come. I'm not sure what day it is, but it's definitely coming. And that pretty much rounds up the show. Before we go, I want to say obviously a massive thank you for Lottie for obviously jumping on after watching the women's game. But yeah, I'll come to you firstly. Massive thank you from obviously myself, Lottie, Stephen, and the whole Canon Chat family. Let the guys know obviously where they can find you, where they can follow you in terms of Twitter. And yeah, just a massive thank you from us.
An absolute pleasure to be with you guys. I've really loved being on here. Find me on Twitter at Goonerly Meads. And yeah, I hope to see you guys again soon. I've got a little thing for Lottie before you go, because I know you like bringing up fantasy football deadline. When is the deadline, please, Lottie?
I was going to wait for you guys to finish for that, but
Okay.
5th of March, 11 a.m. UK time. And just a reminder, the Cannon Chatter Cup starts on game week 31. Once Stephen is back, Stephen, I know you're watching because I've seen you in the chat. We will be letting you know updates if we're still in the cup or not. And G, that includes you as well. You're not getting out of it. I will be asking you if you're on or
Hey,
not.
listen. I'm coming for you. You know, you're only 40 points above me now. I can see you in my sights. I got my
Come
eyes.
catch
on
me if
you.
you can. Catch me if you can. I've been
got my
flying
eyes
all
on you.
season.
Don't worry.
Flying all season.
Don't worry.
Come
Bobby,
catch me.
Bobby, I'm going to come to you now. Obviously, massive thank you for coming on the show. This is the second time you've been. It's always a pleasure having you. Let the guys know where they can follow you on the socials.
Well, my Twitter handle's there or there somewhere.
Yeah.
At the bottom somewhere. Bobby Brown here. Yeah, just thanks for having me on, man. It's always been good. Always good chat, good opinions. Can't wait till next time, man. Invite me anytime, man. I'm ready.
Wicked. Brilliant.
Thanks, man.
Ed, no problem at all. The both of you, absolute pleasure getting you on. So yeah, thank you very much. Any last words from you, Lottie, before I round up the show?
No, just life's too short for arguments, social media spats. Just leave it. Enjoy life in the real world. And even better, come enjoy Cannon Chatter. We're more fun.
Definitely. The last thing I'm going to say is obviously thank you to everybody who has tuned in tonight's stream. If you haven't already liked the video and liked the stream, please do so. If for whatever weird reason you're not subscribed to the channel, please do that. Because we are hunting down to, we're trying to count up to our 500th subscriber. So please do help us get there as quickly as possible.
What are we on at the moment?
I think we're on about 450. So we got a way to go, but you know what? We're growing organically, which is the way we want to do it.
Smash it.
It's all good. But what I will say is, Lee and Bobby, thank you so much. When I end this stream, please don't leave because we just want to grab you for 5 minutes after today's show. Okay?
Okie dokes.
And you know what? Everybody else in the chat, have a good evening. I know there's a last comment come through, and I'll put it up. Really, Scar, thoughts and prayers with the Ukrainian people, 100%. And on that note, everybody have a great evening. Keep safe. And you know what? Come on, you Gunners.